Welcome to Beyond the Huddle, a Central Arkansas FCA podcast where faith meets competition. Join host Josh Adaire and Zac Rose as they dive into real stories from athletes, coaches, and leaders making an eternal impact through sports. Each episode brings powerful conversations on faith, leadership, and living boldly for Christ in every field of play and walk of life. This is Beyond the Huddle.
Welcome to Beyond the Huddle, the Central Arkansas FCA podcast, where faith meets competition. I'm Josh Adaire, and this is my partner in crime, co-host Zac Rose. We're glad to have you here with us today. For those of you who just watch us on podcast only, you don't know, we actually air this live on Faith Talk Radio 995 Mondays at 6:10 p.m. If you're cruising in the car and you want to listen, you just can't wait. You're on pins and needles waiting to get out and listen to see what's next, see what the next content, next story, next challenge is at your place where you can listen to it there. But we are so excited today to have our guest, dear friend, all the way from Connecticut, who's going to be spending about 7 days with us this summer in Arkansas. He actually has spent more than that, 3 weeks in the fall spent with us here in Arkansas, here in Central Arkansas East as our speaker for Fields of Faith doing school assemblies and all that. We're really excited today to have Chuck Hatchet join us here on the podcast. There he is.
Look what's going on, guys.
Hey, man. How are you? I'm
great. How you doing?
We're good. We're good. Is there anything you want to say about Arkansas and our opportunity that we've done in ministry before for everyone to catch up to speed?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that Arkansas is definitely a second home to myself. My wife got a chance to come out there with me, and I truly believe that it is a second home. You guys have welcomed me with open arms. You made me feel like I was at home. And you got probably by far the best barbecue I've ever had in my life.
There we go.
That's high praise.
That is high praise.
Hey, let's keep it real.
That's really good. So your bags are packed. You got your tickets and everything. You ready to come out here in a couple of weeks?
Yes, sir. Ready to rock and roll.
That's good. That's good. Chuck and I were talking on the phone yesterday, and just really excited that he gets to come to Arkansas FCA camp and be our camp pastor and spend time with the kids and build relationships and point them to Jesus. So before we get a little bit further into that, Chuck, could you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I plainly stated, I'm a sinner saved by grace, and I am a husband first, dad second, and I've been privileged to father these 3 baby girls that God has given to me. And so I count that one of the greatest accolades or trophies that I've ever been able to earn in life. Some of the things I've been able to do or accomplish in my time of being on this planet, I've been able to play professional football, being able to work with several NFL teams such as the Jets and the Falcons and Chargers, and played in a Canadian Football League with the BC Lions, where I actually got my full contract and over with Calgary as well. And currently now I'm a shot put athlete training for the next Olympics. The last Olympics, which was last year, I was very, very close to qualifying and making it into Paris, but it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. But I'm grateful to God that I had the opportunity to make it that far for someone who picked up a shot put only 5 years ago. My wife and I, we own a few businesses together, and one of the cool things that we get to do together is own a school. We own a private Christian school here in Connecticut. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Sounds like you got your hands full with everything going on. I'm sure you stay busy. That's really cool. Would you mind telling us a little bit more kind of about your athletic journey, how you got the opportunity to talk with teams, play professional football? What was that journey like for you, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, I would say it was not a smooth one, not easy. And, of course, no professional journey is easy, but I think mine was nowhere near close to being laid out as well as some of these other athletes that I get a chance to watch. and appreciate some of the ways that things have been, set up for them. Growing up in Bridgeport and growing up around a lot of gun violence, gang violence, drug violence, it was not easy to, play sports and try to figure out how to make something of yourself when you got surroundings such as what mine were, telling you and encouraging you to do the opposite, to do the worst, or to do the illegal thing. And so playing football was interesting because it gave me an outlet. And so I was a running back first, and played linebacker as well. And I got a chance to get offered a bunch of full rides, but academics were not good. So I could not take any of the full rides. So I went to junior college first, all the way over to Santa Monica, California. Shout out to Coach T, who is in heaven right now, Coach Taylor. That was my guy. He took me in and gave me another opportunity to play junior college ball. And from there, I got another bunch of scholarships. And so I chose to play at Oregon University on the full ride. And then I lost my scholarship by failing calculus for the second time. Mm-hmm. And so it was a up and down roller coaster. Came home, got a job, and went to the local community college. And God opened up a door for me to play at UNH. And UNH had one full scholarship left. And they offered it to me in January. No one offers anyone any scholarships or anything in January. No one gets into college in January. It's always in the fall. And so they offered me a full scholarship. I get there, play spring ball with them, help the team go to win two conference championships. We go undefeated both years. Go to the national playoffs, head coach of the year. I'm the number one linebacker in the country. And I went undrafted, free agent to the Jets. And got a chance to work with them. And then got a chance to get looked at by the Falcons from there, and then didn't land a contract at all in the NFL. And so my wife, she was very encouraging. And so we just prayed and kept working hard. And then British Columbia Lions and the CFL called, gave me an opportunity to work out with them. Got a big contract with them. Got a chance to play over there. And now here we are, picking up the shot put several years later, and that has been fun because I was terrible at the beginning of it, and now I do pretty well.
Yeah, that's cool. And to kind of expand on that, where did your faith journey start, and what did that look like as you were going through this process of, and everything wasn't just handed to you and you failed multiple times. Like there was failure before success in what you were doing. What did that look like for you in your walk with Jesus?
Well, my walk with Jesus wasn't always. I grew up in the church, like a lot of kids sometimes. And I had a grandmother and a mother that was strong in the faith, and they dragged me to church. I didn't necessarily go to church, but I got dragged to church. And I knew of the Lord, but I didn't make him my Savior nor my Lord. I knew that he was real. I knew that he can destroy this earth in a second, and I was afraid of that. I was not afraid in reverence. What the Bible would want us to be. And the Lord saved me when I was 20 years old. So I came back from school, and he miraculously saved me through the gospel, through a very peculiar way. And, I turned my life over to the Lord, and it was a tough uphill battle because there was no one there to disciple me. And my wife actually gave me this cool athlete devotional book, in which inspired me to write my own. And I read the athlete's devotional book, and that was like my teacher. Well, the Lord, through that book, was my teacher, and it was discipling me to teach me how to live morally before God, and teaching me how to deal with my own emotions. So on the roller coaster from that moment, when I didn't land a big contract, and I'm getting shuffled around from this team and that team, I was very angry. I was angry with God, but I was very angry on how things just happened, and I couldn't just cope with the fact that this is how my life was. But then I learned very quickly that no matter what circumstances that come into our lives or situations, God is always going to be God. And things are going to happen to everybody. Not everybody's life is going to, unfold the same exact way. And that's what makes us unique.
Yeah. When you talk about that change that happens, was there a coach or someone who walked alongside you that really kind of encouraged you to dive in more to your faith? How did that look? You had to have someone around you who encouraged you and lifted you up in that season.
That season, if anybody I would probably describe, When it comes to my faith, will be my uncle
Mm-hmm.
Glenn. He showed me what the love of Christ looked like in the midst of hard work. So my Uncle Glenn, he's one of the 8 siblings of my mother's siblings, and my mom's the oldest. And my Uncle Glenn, him and his brother are the twins. And so he helped take care of the family because, there wasn't no money coming in the house. And he literally, after high school, got 3 jobs and worked night and day, 15, 16 hours every single day. And every time I saw him, he was always saying, "Thank you, Jesus, hallelujah," every single time I saw him. And he never had a tired look on his face. He was always excited. He was always, thanking the Lord in front of us. He would clean, thanking the Lord. He would buy groceries, thanking the Lord. I'm just like, this guy's an interesting guy. And so, I that right there helped me a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Chuck, one thing I know about you is that you are a fierce competitor. You're entrepreneurial minded. You don't sit still for long. How did you get to? There's many people around you in Connecticut. A lot of the opportunities that you had to go a different direction instead of aligning with Jesus. How did you get to be the motivated man of God that you are today?
I believe God has placed a lot of different types of coaches in my life, right? So my first, coaches that I thought were only coaches were sports coaches, but there's other coaches like life coaches and ministry coaches and business coaches. There's all types of coaches that there can be. And so it helped me get to where I, in this place, being an entrepreneur, being motivated as a dad, a husband. I learned a lot, when my wife and I, we came to our church, Cornerstone, and Pastor Watts, he's a good guy, definitely a good guy. And, one thing he taught me was something very, very clear. I thought it was disrespect at first, but then I learned that it wasn't disrespect. He told me a story about a professor, and the professor told him, "Mr. Watts, hate your ignorance." And then he said it to me, "Chuck, hate your ignorance." And I'm like, are you telling me that I'm ignorant? But then you look up the word ignorant. It just means someone that doesn't know something. So they're ignorant to whatever that is. And the goal is to hate your ignorance so much that you want to learn that thing and become better at it. So he taught me to hate my ignorance in business. And I started studying business. I started going back to college and learning how to start businesses, how to run them, how to, hire people, all these other things. So I would say him, my brother Pat, they welcomed me on USAO with open arms. So USAO is definitely a great organization of speakers like myself, and God uses us as, like I would say, the undercover ministers, where no one needs to know the name of us, but we come around and we actually help lift the name of Jesus, and of course the organization that the Lord has blessed us to be a part of in those moments.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. USAO, USAYO is the way it is. United States, like USA or United States of America, YO, Youth Outreach, is organization. How we get to know Chuck, John Copta, friends of ours here in Fellowship of Christian Athletes. It's in Northwest Arkansas. Called him and was like, "Hey man, need face speakers. Who you got? Who's next in line? Who's up and coming and who's available?" And he's like, "Well, you really need to meet my guy Chuck." And so we had Chuck come down for our FCA banquet 2 Aprils ago, and built a great relationship. Did some school ministry, got in some schools, shared the gospel, and just saw that Chuck was a man of faith, man of God, who has been blessed with great sports opportunity and performance and accolades, but has chosen since to use that as a way to climb up onto a platform and tell people about Jesus. And unashamed about that. We've also related and connected because we're both girl dads.
That's right.
All you boy dads out there.
Good luck.
me and Chuck are trying to do our best to raise up powerful women so that we can have powerful, godly men leaders in their lives, so that they can walk along beside them and be difference makers for the kingdom. And so it's great to have battle buddies, someone that we can pray and pray for and encourage and equip and challenge each other to be the spiritual role model for our girls to follow. So that way they know what they're looking for in the man of their dreams one day. And so Chuck came back out last fall, spoke with us, like I said before, 3 different fields of faith, 3 opportunities to do over 20 school assemblies in 3 weeks. And we wore him out. And somehow along the way, he has still, we're still friends. And we choose to send each other dad jokes every once in a while and go from there. And then and he's coming back to do Arkansas FCA camp, but then he's going to spend most of the fall and based out of Texarkana, going around with Eric Aiken to several fields of faith that he has planned for the fall as well. So Chuck, how did you going back to that whole USAYO conversation? How did you find them? How did they find you? What does it look like for somebody in that realm?
The funny thing was it was the Lord, right? So I didn't seek, search, do anything. I was serving at the church. I left my football career to work at the church, which is kind of funny. And I got offered a contract, and I chose a $30,000 job to work at the church. And I was working at the church.
Whoa! Don't skip over that. So you're offered a professional football contract.
My second contract, yeah.
And you didn't renew.
No.
You chose to stay at home and work for the Lord instead.
Yes.
Professional ministry. How does one get to there?
How did you get there?
Yeah. How did you arrive that was where the best decision for you? Most people would have taken the renewed contract.
Yeah. I it was a part of me that I was thinking to myself, I think I'm in the wrong. But I mean, I wasn't being over spiritual. I was, the Lord, I was a fairly new convert, it was a couple of years in of being a Christian. And I was, God set a fire on the inside of me. And I wanted to learn how to really live right for him. Right. I didn't know how to live right, period. And I certainly did not know how to live right when he saved me. All I had was that little athlete's devotional book and my little green Bible. I barely could see it. And, I didn't know any better. And so when I came to that church, Cornerstone, I learned so much, and I just wanted to just devote myself as best as I possibly could. I'm not, like I said, I'm not no mega super Christian. I'm just a regular average guy that is a strong sinner that Jesus saved, right? And I'm grateful that he saved me. And so when the opportunity came, the agent called me. He said, "Yo, we got an opportunity right here, this other team, and then this could possibly turn into you coming back to the NFL and playing with the Buffalo Bills. So we can work this whole thing out. Do 1 year here, 1 more year, come back here. Here's the contract, big enough contract here, and you can get an even bigger one here." And I looked at my wife. I said, "What do you want to do?" I said, I think I'm gonna take the job at the church." She's like, "Are you sure?"
So Virginia asked you what you were going to do? Yes.
My wife asked what I was gonna do. And our dreams were for her to be like, Real Housewives, whatever, right? So not necessarily be in that show. But
if Virginia was on a TV show, I'd watch. Watch her boss you around and tell you what to do, keep you in line. I mean, when we had her out that last week, we did Fields of Faith just to have her here. She's a jewel, and God led you to the right woman for sure to get you to partner together to be great kingdom partners.
Make sure I didn't overeat. That's what she was there for.
Yeah, that's right. It's too good. So Virginia, sweet Virginia, asked you what you were going to do, and you said, "I'm going to stay here." How'd she respond to that?
She said, "Okay, I trust the Lord." That was literally her response. And so I believe we prayed after that, and we just asked. Usually our prayer together is usually God, because we don't know, right? We don't know what God's going to do. Only God knows what He's going to do. So our prayer together, a lot of times we face really large decisions. God, if this is not of you, please blow it up so bad in our face that it smells bad, that we don't even want nothing to do with it.
That's
and
good.
If it is of you, let your will be done, whichever way, right? And he didn't blow it up, and we're like, "Oh goodness, this is about to go down." And I called my agent. I said, "Yo, I'm not playing football no more." He said, "Are you?" He's like going at me now. He's like, "Are you crazy? This is your chance. We got something great going on here." And I was about to sign with Reebok as one of their athletes. I got, all these other sponsors and other stuff. And it's like, "Yeah, man, I think I'm just going to do this and serve the Lord." He's like, "Well, all right, well, good luck with life." And then hung up the phone. And I ended up working for the church. And shortly after, several years later, I got asked by one of my students. I was serving in youth ministry to go speak at his college at Quinnipiac University. I speak at Quinnipiac University, share my testimony. Never did nothing like that before. I've only preached, right? Never shared testimony, none of that stuff. Never even had to unpack what happened in my life until I did that at Quinnipiac. And the guy that was there, he was with InterVarsity. He said, "You got to meet my buddy Pat. Pat would love to hear this story." And he introduced me to Pat. Pat said, "Let's get some coffee." And before you know it, he and I hit it off. We became friends. And he just kept praying for me. And the Lord was helping me through him, because he would see me every time and he would say, "Are you all right?" I say, "I'm just frustrated. Wish I was doing this. Wish I was doing that." And you know what? One thing that he said to me that was so clear. He says, "I want you to know that the Lord loves you so much and that you don't need to perform anymore. As an athlete,
wow,
you always want to perform, and I get it. But as a believer and a son of God, put the performance is over. Now you just do everything out of the abundance." And that, I started crying. I broke down and cried. And I was like, "Man, thank you, man. I just feel like a failure in life because I gave up my football career and I don't know how to do ministry well." And before you know it, he and I just kept praying together. Every month or so, he would come to my office and pray. And then before you know it, "Chuck, what are you feeling?" I think, "I'm feeling frustrated, blah, blah, blah." "Well, guess what? We want you to be on our team full time." I said, "Are you serious?" And then the rest is history.
When you talk about performance, I think that's a key aspect of what a lot of athletes face is this idea of, man, just competing at the highest level you can and being honoring to the Lord versus trying to put on this big show and performance for the people around you. I think that's a key in that transition out of an athlete's mindset is, man, how else can I perform? How else can I not just do the best that I can, but do it to where it's sometimes showy or flashy, or I can put on the best show for the people around me. Because a lot of times that's what we see in sports, whether it's youth sports all the way up to professional. Like you look at any of the professionals nowadays, and a lot of them, it's a show too. It's absolutely a show. So talk about that transition, a little bit of your mindset, how you got from like what you were saying about performance, going from performance to just being pleasing to the Lord. How did you have to switch your mindset in that? And what did that process look like for you?
It was a hard process because, our first nature is pride as mankind. And humility is not of us. Humility is of Christ. And so when we take on Christ's nature, then that's when we are endowed with humility. But that was hard for me to figure out how to live a humble life because I was trying to do it in my own strength. And so as the process went on, and this is a long process. I'm talking about, I'm 36 right now. I probably somewhat arrived. I probably can see the finish line about 4 years ago, right? And what it looked like for me was that I had to learn how to be weak. And anyone that sees me, I'm a big, strong guy. I bench 500 pounds and squat 650, 700, whatever, all these crazy numbers. And
for anyone who doesn't know, that's a lot of weight. That's more than the average male times 2. Anyway,
or 3.
Or 3. That's like 6 Zacs and maybe a few more. Anyways, continue.
It's a pretty good amount of weight, but even behind all that exterior, right? There was still a struggling individual on the inside of that. And now here I am. I'm trying to live a life that's more at peace because God has given it to me, but I'm seeking peace at the same time. And, the way I knew to really live in the peace that God already has given, which if he's given it, you don't have to look for it no more, right? And so I had to learn how to be weak. And that means if I fail at something, go to God and just say, "God, what happened there?" And let him teach me about what happened instead of me trying to figure out what happened. And now that means I'm operating in my own strength. And, that taught me so much to rely more on him to the point where a lot of stuff started to transpire in my life over those several years up to now. And my first inclination is to go pray my first inclination now is to go read the Bible. Instead, my first inclination would be, let me Google this. Let me go talk to so-and-so. Let me be upset. Let me live within an emotion that I have, right? The emotion of anger or sadness or whatever that may be. But instead, I'm not going to live in any of that. I'm going to go to God. And however I go to God, right? I'm coming to him anyway because Jesus has paved the way for me to go to him. I'm not able to go to him on my own merit, but on Christ's merit. So I can just go to him and say, look, God, I'm mad right now. Why? Why am I mad? And help me figure this thing out. Oh, okay, got it. I shouldn't be mad. Got it. Makes sense. So learning to be weak does not necessarily mean that you're weak. It's learning to understand that you are just a human and you are very limited. And you have been given the blessing of having an unlimited being who is the ultimate only being that created all of us. And now we have access to him. That helped me a ton. And now I live in a life today, and it's very tricky sometimes because, the enemy is very cunning. I know not to live in a performance mode, but every once in a while, did I do that right? Did I say that right? Did I, was I kind? And this way, and those things are good to check on. You want to always check. Look yourself in the mirror, test yourself, all these certain types of things. But always remember that it ain't the end of the world. It's only the end of the world when Jesus comes back. Or when you go to heaven too, whichever one happens, that's the only way it's the end of the world for you anyway, right? Yeah. So it's blessed me a lot.
Yeah. I think that's important as we're diving into performance and how we kind of sit back and reflect is when I think about performance, and you kind of mentioned a little bit how emotionally we can get so driven on certain things of like all of a sudden in a moment when my emotions could rage out of control, how do I respond to a situation? And I think it's important, as you said, you try and you fail. Like we're all going to fall short. Yeah. I think it was Paul that talked about it, but boast in your weakness, essentially, of like there's no pride that comes with boasting in your weakness. You've put all your pride aside. It's on the ground. You've stomped all over it. And you're sitting there like, you know what? Here's the deal. I need to look and see if I messed up, if I screwed up, because I want to figure out the best way to deal with this going forward. I think it's important for athletes, for really anyone who's under God's authority, which is everyone, to be able to take that time to sit and reflect. We just, on our last episode, we were talking to a young man, football player, and wise beyond his years, but he's sitting there and he talks about how an injury kind of derailed some of what his plans were. And he realized in that time that as he reflected and sat with the Lord, that the Lord revealed all these things to him and how to improve, not just on the field. It had nothing to do with on the field, nothing to do with his performance base, but really just how to be honoring and pleasing to the Lord in that too. So I think you hit it on the head there. When we're emotionally driven, it's easy to make really stupid mistakes, and it's easy to just do what we want in a moment and be really selfish, because at the end of the day, that is selfishness. But to be able to reflect and look internally, because that's what the Lord looks at, and be able to improve from a situation is important. Right. That's good.
Hey, Chuck, I want to unpack this a little bit further. If you were to speak to a dad, to a man, or to a male athlete, you're one of the strongest men that I know physically. You're a beast in the weight room. It's one of the things we had when you were here to share the gospel in weight rooms, to get underneath the bench press and to throw around some weight, crazy numbers. I remember you doing 225 for a lot of weight, which is the weight for the NFL Combine. Do you still hold that record for linebackers in NFL Combine?
I don't think no one's beat 40 reps yet.
40 reps of 225, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of weight. So he's like that's a lot of weight on the bar, but it's a lot of repetitions up and down, up and down, up and down. Now, if you put me and Chuck side by side, we're talking about height and stature and everything. Chuck's arm range of motion is a little bit shorter than mine. So he's built for
everybody's it.
Is. Yeah. You're right. He's built for it in that way. And so he would do 225, and he's like, all right, let's step it up. And you put 310 on there and do another 20. And I'm like, just the stamina and the mindset. Anyway, he's he's a beast in the weight room is what we're trying to say. But at the same time, it's a thought that you're talking about humility and living with strength and so while you're talking, I wrote this down. It takes great strength to live a life of worldly weakness and heavenly humility.
Wow.
So how would you explain or unpack that as a challenge towards the men and the women who are competitors, who think that they have to be on go all the time, that they have to be the top, that confidence, arrogance, however you want to say that. How do you display humility as a believer in Jesus who's an athlete?
I think
or someone who's had an athletic past, because a lot of times, if we're honest, I'm 43. We live in our glory days of what we did in high school, and most of us not past that. So how do you live that out as a man of faith?
Yeah, I think the Lord has pretty much laid it out pretty simple, right? If we're going to live a life of humility, our goal is every moment is to share Jesus. Even if I'm tackling somebody, I need to make sure that it's done with the right intent, the right heart. My mouth is clear, my heart is clear, my mind is clear, right? And then, from there, you find yourself, checking yourself and measuring yourself only to Jesus, not to yourself, not to the next person, and not to your last performance, but measure yourself to Jesus. And not to see if you can be better than Jesus. No one can be better than Jesus. But you want to measure yourself to Jesus because Jesus is giving you a standard of living. And he's given us a place that's a better zip code than what we live in right now, and better citizenship than what we live in right now. And that citizenship has a requirement of how we are to live now, which that shows how much more of his you are if you live the way that he is telling you to live now. And so if I wanted to be someone that is full of humility, one, I don't need to be my best. I don't need to always be seen. I just need to be my best. See, my best is always going to be more than enough. Whether we win or whether we lose, whether I make a lot of money or whether I make a little bit of money, whether the circumstances in my household is a little bit indifferent or they are a little bit better, whether I got the right job or I don't got the right job, or whether I go to the right college or not the right college. It makes no difference. It's all about that, right? So if I choose to show my best self according to what God has provided to me, no matter what happens around me, I've done my job. God does the rest. God will make sure everything will transpire the way it is. And true humility also says that my life is in God's hands. The Bible reminds us that Jesus purchased us with a price, and our bodies are no longer our own. So that tells me automatically that if anything good or bad happens in my life, it's because of the Lord, because this is his life. This is his body. He owns me. If I gave myself over to him, I'm going to be a slave to one or two things. It makes no difference. People are like, well, I'm not a slave. You are. You're either a slave to the devil and the world, or you're a slave to Christ. I'd rather be a slave to Christ because I serve that master who's true freedom. But if I choose the world or the devil, that master is completely shackles and jail and hell, all of it. And so if I choose to live that way, I'm going to be golden. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to look better. And I'm not going to worry about if I messed up. If I tripped, that's what it is. Everybody trips. If we didn't win the game, I gave my best self, though. I'll tell you that right now. If I don't make it the most money, I'm telling you right now, I'm showing up every single day to work as hard as I possibly can. Now that's a level of introspection. If you introspect and you find yourself not working hard, that's on you. So you need to check that. If you introspect and you find yourself not serving hard, that's on you.
That's good. I like what you said there. Do your best. God does the rest. That's exactly it. It's a secret recipe. It's not a secret, but few people actually tap into it and live by it. So that's so good. So good. So you have the opportunity to travel around. You're plugged in where you are in Connecticut, impacting the next generation and offering up your time to coach, offering up your time to invest into lives. So share with us your your thoughts about the next generation and why you're so passionate about them knowing about Jesus.
I would say that this next generation, I believe they have such a strong passion for Jesus. Probably a little bit more than my generation, the millennial generation. But I do see that there's a lot of misguided passion in this generation. It's not because they are the wrong ones, but because of the generations before us, the millennials, and of course us acquiring the same stuff that came down the pike, such as the prosperity gospel and the name it and claim it and the word of faith, and all these different things. The Bible is very clear on, how we are to conduct ourselves, how churches to be ran. And a lot of individuals, they did their own thing and they gave their own spin on it and saying that this is how I interpret it. The Bible interprets itself. And so what I see in this generation is a passionate generation, one who is certainly seeking for Christ and answers of Christ. But I also see that in many different places that I've been to, it can be a misguided passion. But I do believe that they are desiring to serve the Lord. And it's important for us, as leaders, coaches, whatever we may be in their young lives, to be, on guard of ourselves, that we may live our best life in front of them for Christ.
That's good. Zach, you got anything?
Yeah,
I was looking up a quote, some stats to share with Chuck, but go ahead.
I wanted to talk about your book a little bit. It's titled "Where is God in My Sport?" Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the vision and why you felt that was such an important topic to sit down and write about, and tell us a little bit about what your book is about?
Yeah. So, as interesting enough, that was my second book that came out, and I didn't think I'd ever write. At best, I mess around with my wife, and she just shakes her head. I said, at best, I'm a C student. That's it. I'm a C student, average. But that book was definitely inspired, like I shared with my wife. She gave me a devotional book that helped me be discipled. And it was great. It was a great book. It was very short, though. It was like no more than 20 days. I was like, I need more. So I just kept reading it over and over and over again. Then I got bored after like the seventh read or something like that. And as I got older, started writing books. And then after being able to do ministry, such as what I do now, I'm seeing a lot of young people still trying to find God in their sport. They find God when they're not putting on the helmet, or they're not wearing the jersey, or they're not behind the bat or a racket. They find God. But when they're playing their sport, it's like God went out the back door. It's like they don't even know who God is. And so I'm like, wait. You guys have a perfect opportunity to play the sport the way it was intended to be played as a Christian. I didn't do it well, and many other people are not doing it well, right? You see a lot of us want to say, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, but with the same mouth, they want to throw some, bad curse words out there.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what are you doing? What kind of example are you setting? Or they're living one way on camera, they're living a different way off the camera, or they say one thing, about the Lord, and then they get out there and they try to get into a fight in the middle of a game. It's terrible. And these are our, superstars, people that are at super high level. And, that inspired me to write this book. And then I thought to myself, I said, 100 days actually sounds a lot better than 20 days, because 100 days will take you usually through preseason camp into championship season. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what, this is why I wanted to do 100 days. So I started writing from my own devotional thought as an athlete. And I picked out, I went through first the process of finding all the scriptures that I would like to share. And then I read each scripture all over again. And I started writing down thoughts of each scripture. And then I just elaborated those thoughts. And from what I hear today, that this book has helped, several hundred people so far since it's been out. I think it came out not too long ago, several months ago. So, yeah. And
for anyone listening, where's the best place to find that? And
you can go on Amazon. You can go right on Amazon. It'll get to you if you got Prime. It get to you in like 2 days or whatever that may be. But you can find it as "Where is God in My Sport?" Yeah. I believe it will bless you for sure.
Definitely. I think that's important. I know for me, like, repetition is really important in terms of my spiritual walk, and especially during the season, it can get really easy to make excuses for oh, well, like for me right now, I'm going through the Bible in a year plan. It's like, it can be real easy to just be like, you know what? It's Leviticus Day. Like, oh boy, here we go. Like, not that that's any less exciting, but I think our human nature tells us that, oh man, I'm not as excited to jump into that as the middle of like this great battle or whatever's going on. But I think it's important FCA's model is E3, engage, equip, and empower, to engage students, yes, but also equip them with the knowledge and resources that will be able to carry into their sport rather than outside of their sport. Oh, we learned our lesson now. Like, how can we just learn our lesson when we're right here, right now? Like, why do we got to go through all this pain and turmoil? Like you had mentioned, that's part of your story. And that sounds like that's a part of your heart of why you even wrote it in the first place and like, if we can just try and get through different circumstances where we're not having to deal with so much pain because we were rooted in what we knew was right and what we knew was true in a moment rather than learning that lesson afterwards. But
yeah.
Chuck, you're talking earlier about the few minutes ago about the next generation and their receptiveness to the gospel. Paint a picture for those of you who don't know. Barna Research Group has come out, and Chuck, you may not even know this. If so, news for you. This excites me because about what you're about to get to come do to Arkansas FCA camp and opportunities. Everybody who we invite in to partner with us to speak on campus. Barna in January 30th, 2025 says that over 3 in 4 U.S. teens, 77%, say that they are at least somewhat motivated. 50% vary, 25% somewhat, to continue learning about Jesus throughout the rest of their lives.
Wow.
Less than 1 in 5 are unmotivated. So super encouraging news, but the one place that most are not going to search out, the article talks about another place that they're not going to search out a relationship with Jesus is church. So, which to me highlights the importance of ministries that operate on campus, like Fellowship of Christian Athletes, or Young Life, or what are the other organizations that are on campus that are bringing Jesus to where people are, so that they can ask questions, they can learn, they can grow in Bible study together. So it's just crazy. A lot of people say that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and this next generation, we always talk about teenagers in a bad rap and a bad light, but the studies show and the research shows that 77% are somewhat motivated. 52% are very motivated, and 25% somewhat motivated that they're to learn about how to have a relationship with Jesus. So a lot of what you said has fired us up about the opportunity that you're coming to bring hope and to bring a message and to challenge people to live more than themselves. And I think just like I had an alarm go off this morning at 10:02. Every day I pray Luke 10:2. Pray to the Lord of the harvest. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. And Scripture, once again, has proven itself to be right, that this next generation is looking for Jesus, but they're looking for trusted people who have lived before them to lead them to Jesus. And thankful for you that you're on the journey here with us to lead, as we do in FCA, coaches and athletes into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church, and to live past themselves and to point their peers to Jesus Christ, to be the change agent, to be a life change. So I'll send you that article, and that way you can read and you can do some research. You're a numbers guy, and you thinking, and go back to what Chuck said earlier, hate your ignorance. If you think that you don't like the way a certain thing's going, do your research.
That's it.
Figure it out for yourself and what to do. So I do want to talk about this. I know a little bit of your story, and not to unpack everything. You left football. You went to be a youth pastor. How in the world and why shot put?
That's a great question. So I didn't know anything about shot put at all. I've seen it once when I did track and field one time in high school. and
which you excelled at.
yeah, I don't know. Listen, the Lord just blessed me with some talent, which is
Freaky talent.
yeah. So I went All-American as a high jumper my first year doing track as a
How
junior.
tall are you, Chuck?
Right now I'm 5'11".
When you high jump, how tall?
Yeah, when I high jumped in high school, I was 5'6". So, and I was a 205-pound, 5'6" kid.
205, 5'6", and you high jumped
6'8".
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was very refreshing. I was practicing yesterday.
Take 2 inches off my. You're practicing high jump yesterday?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would break a leg. I probably wouldn't even be able to come out there now. I was practicing shot put at the local high school shot put ring. It is kids that go in there. A lot of kids that come over, want some pointers on shot put. And I saw a kid coming over there out of the corner of my eye, and he, like, "Are you Chuck Hatchet?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" I'm thinking like he's want to ask him like shot put questions. He said, "I'm trying to break your record." And I'm like, "What record?" "The high jump record." And I forgot I still hold that record since 2003.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, I didn't know." I said, "You can break it, dude." So I was encouraging him, and he was very encouraging. I was giving him some pointers, stuff that I remember when I did it a long time ago. But hopefully he does well. This weekend he has a track meet this weekend, so hopefully he breaks the record and put it to rest. It's been a long time.
Connecticut track and field still going?
Yeah, so a couple of kids are still in going to regionals and states and all that stuff.
Wow. Arkansas finished already.
Yeah, you guys are more efficient over there. That's why.
Well, we don't freeze over like y'all do either.
So it kind of explain a little bit why you got back into that. What's your hope and goal with shot put of kind of where you're at right now? And what you have in mind for why you're still doing it?
Yeah, so I got off that sidetrack because of that, because of the high jump. But I woke up one Saturday morning and I nudged my wife and said, "What's going on? You all right?" I said, "V, I know what I want to do." This is like a Saturday morning. She said, "What is it, Chuck?" I said, "I want to throw the shot put." And she looks at me and says, "Go to bed. You are done. Just retire. You're done." I said, "V, no. This body is still too young." And this is I'm 31 years old when I mentioned this to her, and so I started doing it, and I was terrible. I was like lighter, didn't know how to put it on my neck. I was holding it like a basketball, and so my first meet I threw was 12 meters, and now I'm up to about 18 to 19 meters on any given day. And right now my goal. And I believe that it can happen if I keep working my tail off, is to make it to the Olympics here in LA, which would be fun. It'd be my first time back in LA since 2008. I haven't been back there. I got some wild stories in LA. Like it was too dangerous. That's why I didn't really like it. I got approached a lot by like gangbangers. So, and for no reason either. like why am I like a magnet for like this type of stuff? What is going on? So it was very weird. So that's why I never been back to LA. I said, we're good. We're good. But I'll be back there if I get a chance to close this distance. So I missed Paris last year about 4 feet. And obviously I'm working on that 4 feet now. I already gained 2 feet on my distance already. And so 2 feet left from that qualifiers, but I'm only about 2.5 feet from the qualifiers for 2028. And it's 2025 right now. So we got time. But I'm treating this year as if I have no time, and I'm gonna treat the next year, Lord willing, as if I have no time as well.
That's great. Yeah. That's so good.
That's a great outlet too. For you, the Lord obviously blessed you with gifts and abilities, and like you said, to be able to use that and steward what you have been given, and find an outlet that works for you right now. It may not be football, but man, what an opportunity for. And who knows what's going to happen. It's not performance-based. It's just trying to be honoring to the Lord and what you're doing. But the opportunities you may have to minister to athletes around you, that's it right there. So
that excites me the most. I get the chance to touch even a different type of audience now at this point.
Yeah, definitely. That's neat. So I think we got about 3 or 4 minutes here left. To kind of close here briefly, you've kind of been around in a few different sports realms, but we talked about this on our last episode. What do you think is the most difficult sport to play and why?
That's a crazy question. What was the most difficult or okay. I would say it's going to be kind of hard to answer this question. The most difficult sport, I would have to say, probably be tennis.
Oh.
You got to learn how to top spin the ball. You got to spot play. Like my oldest daughter, Charlotte, she's 10. I can't even beat her unless I serve. If I serve, I can whoop her. But she's if I'm sorry, I'm hitting the mess out of that thing. But if she volleys that thing back over the net, she's gonna be spot hitting me the whole time, and then I hit it out of bounds or something like that. I would say the toughest sport to play is football. People will say hockey, and hockey is definitely up there for sure. But hockey doesn't have enough freak athletes like football does. You got to think, you got a 6'10" guy that can run a 5 flat who weighs 430 pounds. There's no way. You're not seeing a 6'10" guy in hockey like that. Not even.
So you think it wouldn't change if they were on skates though? Like, does that not sway you a little bit in that area?
Not necessarily.
Put a lineman on some skates. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I think it can definitely be a little different. But
I don't want to see that.
But you got to think though, football, you're designed to go run into each other.
Yeah, definitely.
See, hockey, you're not designed to run into each other
With pads.
Yeah,
with pads on. But those pads, I mean, if you get hit by a guy like me, the pads ain't gonna matter. It make a difference.
Momentary cushion.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Man. Momentary cushion. It just But I think a lot of sports are very, very tough. I would put tennis up there as like one of the top, hardest ones. You gotta be super skillful. All the sports you gotta be skillful in. Golf, I'm terrible at, and I wish I could. I mean, I can't put my arms together because my chest is so big. Right there. So that's probably why.
Chuck, last question for me: what sport have you never played that you believe in your heart of hearts that you could go pro in?
That I never played, that I believe in my heart of hearts that I can go pro in.
Yeah.
At any given age or right now?
Right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
What?
You're in the shape of your life. What are you talking about?
I'm not in the best shape of my life. Oh, shoot. I don't think either. I don't know. I don't think there's any sport that I can go pro in right now. I can't think of one.
Yeah, well, I'll let you think about it. You can tell us at Arkansas FCA camp.
I'm not that good as you think I am, man. Now all I know how to do is throw a shot football.
We'll get you out there, play some games with some kids on the field, and see who owns who. It'll be great. It'll be a great time, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Looking forward to having you here and you imparting wisdom and life into coaches and athletes, and challenging them to grow in their relationship with Jesus. And that's the whole reason why we do this podcast. So, Chet, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for coming on our podcast today. Look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. And for everyone else out there, thanks so much for joining us on the Central Arkansas FCA podcast, Beyond the Huddle, where faith meets competition. And have a great week. Have a great week of worship, giving Jesus your all. Do your best, as Chuck says, and let God do the rest. Have a great week. See you later.